Continuing with the laws of Shabbos as described by Rabbi Appel in the Concise Code of Jewish Law, a guide to the observance of Shabbos. We're on page 74. When called to the Torah, you should wear a tallis. Proceed to the reading of the reading bima. Stand to the right of the Torah reader. When the Torah is opened, you should look for a place where the reading is to begin. And after reciting the blessing, read along silently with the Torah reader. After the Torah reader has read the portion, recite the blessing and wait for the next reading. When the person called after has said the final blessing, go back to your seat. Okay, let's see with a lot of footnotes here. We call a person to the reading of the Torah by his Hebrew name and that of his father. This is a hallowed tradition and great importance in the retention of Jewish names. If you were adopted and raised by foster parents, you may be called to the Torah as the son of your adoptive father. If you prefer using the latter's name over that of your biological father, while this is true of being called for an aliyah, okay, fine. The Baal Korah should prepare in advance. Okay, fine. All that is okay. A boy who is not yet bar mitzvah should not be called to the Torah, nor should he act as a Torah reader. All the congregation must listen attentively while the Torah is read. This is important. You may not talk during the reading. You're not allowed to talk while the Torah is being read, even on subjects relating to the Torah. Nor may you leave the synagogue at this time. In the interval between the readings, when the Torah is rolled up, you may leave if it is urgent. Here they say, hold on one second. What? Yeah, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay, what was your question? Yeah, correcting the reader. If the Baal Korah misreads a word in the Torah, it should be corrected, and he must what? All right, and he must repeat it correctly. However, if the error is in the intonation, or if it is in the punctuation, and the mispronunciation does not change the meaning, you need not repeat the word. For example, if he reads et instead of eight, or kasef instead of kasef, he should not be corrected. Since not every mistake needs corrections, and according to some opinion, no mistake needs correction, and for the sake of decorum and the dignity of the Baal Korah, it's advisable that a congregation have a policy that only the Gabbayim and the Rav do correcting, and not allow the congregation at large to shout it out. Let's see these
That's
opinions.
exactly what I was going to say.
What were you going to say, Rabbi Yosef?
That's a good takana that only the gabbai or the rabbi should be correcting the Baal Korah, not the whole congregation, because it will turn into a zoo. I mean, I've seen
Yeah,
it happen.
for sure. Let's see, part 1, chapter 8. Let's see. if there's a footnote on this, footnote 17. Okay, he has other sources. Standing during Torah reading. The Shulchan Aruch writes that you do not need to stand while the Torah is being read. You do not need to stand while the Torah is being read. Hold on. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. Following this ruling of the Mechaber, the Sephardim do not stand. The Ramah, however, states that those who are more stringent stand during the Torah reading. While the prevailing view among the poskim is that you're not obligated to stand, some deem it proper to do so, with the thought in mind that when we read the Torah, it is as though we were receiving it from Sinai. And Bnei Yisrael stood at the foot of the mountain when the Torah was revealed to them at Sinai. Yeah, I haven't sat down for a Torah reading in over 30 years. I always stand. If you find it difficult to stand, you should sit so that you can concentrate on the reading. In any case, you should stand while the one called to the Torah says the blessing. So for sure, you should be standing for the blessing. According to everyone, you do not need to stand during the intervals between the aliyot. What about using a microphone? So all the congregation must listen while the Torah is read. Apart from the prohibitions involved in their use on Shabbat and Yom Tov, your obligation for Torah reading is not fulfilled when you hear it through a microphone and other electrical or electronic devices, such as a loudspeaker, telephone, or radio, television, or they say tape recorder here. Nobody has a tape recorder anymore. Internet. In the operation of these instruments, the sound of the voice is converted into electrical impulses. You don't hear the natural voice. You have to hear the natural voice and not the electrical impulses.
What if there's such a large room that you really can't hear that?
Then, well, that raises the question. The congregation has to read it, but it's not your obligation to hear it. So as long as it's the people are hearing it, it's okay.
Well, but this is saying even on a non-Shabbat.
Even on a non-Shabbat, but
can't use microphone
to hear the Torah being read. Yeah, that's how he rules.
That's how you rule.
That's a major problem.
He says, according to many poskim, it's not fulfilled. What?
I mean, there's certain Shabbat, but on non-Shabbat,
Because you're not hearing the
actual voice, but then you don't hear anything because you're the last row or middle row.
How about a megaphone? That's
megaphone is your voice. That's okay. It's a big thing. Yeah, that's okay.
Then that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Your voice, not your electric.
Here, he has all these footnotes here. Mincha Shlomo. That's try and blank. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who says that if somebody hears the sound of the shofar or the Megillah through a microphone, he has not fulfilled the obligation. And you cannot use them in synagogue for prayer because you're just hearing the machine, the electricity, and not the person. However, he says, he has a footnote there. Where the Chazon Ish says maybe it's okay. So he has a footnote that Chazon Ish says maybe it's okay. So the point is, it's a debate. And each community is going to navigate this. But when I was in Riverdale, Rabbi Weiss said that you could read Megillah with a microphone. That's the Megillah. But the problem is, somebody stormed out, was so upset. Yeah, I remember that. In a place where there's no Sefer Torah, someone from the congregation should read the portion out loud from a printed chumash while everyone listens. What's failure to read the Torah on Shabbat morning? In the event that the congregation failed to read the Torah portion on Shacharit, they should read it on the following. Oh no. This happened once to me. I'll tell you the story. In the event that the congregation failed to read the Torah portion on Shacharit, they should read on the following Shabbos together with the parsha for that Shabbos. They may not read the Maker parsha, however, on Monday or Thursday mornings as an inconvenience people would go to work. So the next Shabbos, they should read 2. One time I was like a rabbi welcome. I was a rabbi in the some synagogue in Long Island for the summer whenever the rabbi went away, and it was a small congregation. So one week they didn't have one, and I was there the next week. So he told me to figure out if we should do 2 portions or 1. I said 1 because I asked of Shaila, and they said this was meant in a place in a town where there was only 1 synagogue, but the people just didn't go that week to that synagogue, but they went to a different synagogue. So therefore, you don't need to read it. That's what he argued. And so I said we don't have to read 2. And then I shared this with everybody. They were very happy not to read both. Very, very happy not to read both. Oh, you had a question, Rabbi Yosef?
Yeah, I was also asking if it was honest, just like any other mitzvah. So, like during the first Gulf War, synagogues were closed across the whole city for months. So that was like mamash honest. It was there has to be maybe
COVID.
a
We had
different, yeah,
COVID.
also COVID. Some things, so there has to be a difference between something that was deliberately canceled as opposed to
I mean, it's interesting. I think that some
forced.
congregations after COVID did read all the portions that they missed. I think there were some congregations that did in fact do that.
That's amazing. Wow.
Uh, um, let me see. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to check that question. I'm going to ask on AI if they have a record of that. Did Orthodox synagogues make Torah portions they missed? They were closed. See, what happened was, let's see what they say here. Cite sources. Okay, so here's what they did. Here's what AI says. Many authorities, including the Sephardic chief rabbi, ruled that they should make up what they missed. So when synagogues first reopened, some read multiple portions on a single Shabbat. They would read all 3 portions. To avoid a tircha, undue burden, many suggested only making up a few weeks worth of reading. They missed portions quickly without of reading the missed portions without the full set of 7 aliyot. So other major authorities ruled that synagogues should not make up the missed portions and should simply resume. The logic based on rulings by the Maharam Mintz, the obligation to read the Torah is of the time. If time passes, the obligation expires. Some suggested that the Baal Koreh should at least read the first few verses of the week's missed portion before starting the current reading, but that was not universal. In practice, most Orthodox synagogues did not read months of missed portions when they finally returned. By the time many indoor minyanim had fully resumed, they had missed a dozen or more portions. That would have kept the congregation in the building for many hours, which was discouraged by medical experts. Instead, many fulfilled their obligations in other ways.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And that's what I think, that's really what happened. Because when we reopened after COVID, it was such a stress to do the service in abbreviated form. And all didn't make sense. Like in retrospect, there was things that was just completely crazy customs. They do a small service, a short service. But anyway, in retrospect, it was all abbreviated, and there were also all these private minyanim. So people started with the private minyanim. So then they certainly didn't feel like the obligation to read the Torah reading because they said we're not the synagogue. So people started with the private minyanim. and then they don't have to make up for what the synagogue missed. And so I don't think anybody made it up. I don't think anyone made it up. That's the way I think it actually. Yeah, I got this right. Okay, we'll stop here and go to the Rashi.